All right. It's Monday. Hopefully you guys had a good start to your week, off to a good clip, getting things done, making sure you're taking care of business, whatever it is you are trying to accomplish. I don't know if you guys do this or not, but I spend some time on Sundays trying to just outline what I'm going to get done for the week. Read a book not too long ago called The One Thing. It was actually pretty good. Just what's the one thing you can do to make everything else easier or irrelevant? If you can figure out what that is, then it kind of helps you hone in your focus and make sure that you're actually getting things done that are going to make a difference for you. Put out the domino theory. Well, the third iteration of the domino theory here just a few days ago, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch that. Seen a lot of people checking that out. Looks like we're going to get the oil kicker here, which is exactly what we need for everything to really kind of progress and get to moving. So, when's that going to be? Is it going to take a couple days? Is it a week? Who knows? But I do think it's here in the near future that we are going to see a pretty significant spike in oil. There's a lot of other analysts out there saying the same thing. I am not the only one. And if that does end up being the case, Bank of Japan is going to be in a tough spot. They did print some more money today in order to continue the yield curve control that they've been implementing on their bond market. So for those that may not know what that even means, probably take a step back here and just kind of walk you down the line of some of these things. But central banks have a few different things that they can do when there is a currency crisis or too much inflation in their economy, or if certain things are happening that could cause some panic. Because you don't want panic. You don't want people to pull their money out of banks. You don't want people to freak out. And you don't want big shifts. You want smooth transitions, soft landings. That's what the Fed's been calling it. So in Japan, they've seen some pretty significant inflation. They've had to print a lot of money because of COVID, just like everybody else around the world. And money supply has increased in their economy as well. And so that's forced them to raise interest rates in order to quell the inflation. And they were raising pretty rapidly up until August last year, when we started to see some instability in markets. The Nikkei was down substantially, and then our stock market was down substantially. And the Bank of Japan came out and said, hey, whoa, we're not going to raise interest rates anymore. We're going to, slowly do it if we're going to do it. And we're definitely not going to do it when there's market volatility. But since then, bond yields have continued to climb there in Japan because people anticipate that they're going to have to raise interest rates. So people price things in for what they think is going to happen into markets. Markets are always 3, 4, 6, probably 6 months in advance of what actual reality is for what people, where people see the puck going is where they're going to invest their money and how markets are going to move. So with that, you've seen people continue to sell off bonds there in Japan, chase yield other places because there's still higher yield in other places, including U.S. Treasuries. And that's why they're the largest holder of U.S. Treasuries, foreign debt holder. So people park money over there. They sell off the yen. They sell off the Treasuries that they have there in order to move. And so Bank of Japan has to raise the bond rates rise in order to meet that supply and demand. If there's less demand, bond yields go up because people need a higher yield in order to hold them. But that's a problem for the Bank of Japan because if it gets too far out over their skis, they can't service that debt. So what they will do is they will print money and they buy the bonds. And you see this happen often. It's called yield curve control, where a central bank will print a bunch of currency and then they will buy the bonds themselves. And that's what's going on there in Japan in order to quell some of the rising bond prices. But every time they print currency, they get more inflation in their economy. and devalues their currency against the dollar. So they've been treading a line here of somewhere between 160 and 140 for the yen. And as long as they stay in that range, trading against the dollar, things seem to be okay. Either edge of that got some problems. And that's where they've stepped in, and reduced M2 money supply at certain points, or printed more money, depending on which of those they needed to do to stay off of either end of that curve. ZBCN, I just put out a video about that. If you guys want to go check it out on the YouTube channel, talking about ZBEC. So go check that out. I know there's been a lot of people that have asked me about that one in particular. So we finally did a video for you guys. And it's out there on the YouTube channel. Nathaniel's asked about XPR. I don't think I've talked about this one publicly in a while. Here's the deal about XPR. Metallicus, I don't think is going to have the success that a lot of people anticipate. I could be wrong. I would love to be wrong. There's other people that hold large bags of that. It's not my game. I think it's interesting that they felt like they had to do a play off of XRP. They did an ICO and did pass some coins to people in order for them to shill that project. Very well aware of that. I know people that received some of those. So here's the other thing about people who are like, oh, they're a FedNow partner. I could pay to be a FedNow partner. All I got to do is pay the couple grand and I can be on the website. So it's not difficult to be a FedNow partner or be associated with stuff. It's very easy to just get listed on things. So anything like that for direct integrations, unless you see, the FedNow come out with an article that says they're working with them, anybody can be listed there. 750 banks, ain't that many banks. It's not actual adoption. You could have one credit union that had that many locations. Credit Union Texas here has a lot of locations. Anyway, best case scenario for XPR or Metallicus is they do get adopted by credit unions. Small value payments, small banks. The current liquidity for the entire DEX is $4.3 million. They're not moving any money. They're not settling anything with that. There's not even enough liquidity on the network to actually settle anything with it of substantial value. So anybody that's out there propagating that one, just do some research. Not saying that it's not going to go anywhere, but at this point, it's highly unlikely. And here's the other piece of this. You can have the best technology in the world. I know a gentleman, extremely intelligent, multiple PhDs in mathematics. He has, a network called Aleph Zero. He's a business partner of ours. Had a very hard time getting any traction. Had a very hard time getting it listed anywhere. Had a very hard time getting liquidity into the token. It's one of the best privacy networks out there. You're not going to get a better privacy network than Aleph Zero. The nodes are very reasonably priced. The current price of the token is substantially down from the all-time high. It was like 71 cents at the all-time high. I think it's under 2 cents right now. Just a lot of projects out there that have great tech that did not get the adoption. First mover advantage is a thing, and also the good old boys club is a thing. I don't like it, but it is how the world works. Okay, and unless you're part of it, you're probably not going to get in the game. Circle has issued their stablecoin on multiple networks, USDC. There's liquidity in that. If you don't have Circle or USDC listed on your network, stablecoins are going to be a big deal, especially for payments. And if you don't have direct integrations or large players like that issuing stablecoins on your chain, like ROUSD, probably not going to make it. So anyway, not to poo-poo on that one, just saying I met with their team. I've done a lot of research, and from my understanding, it's not what people were making it out to be. HBAR, we've done plenty of videos on HBAR. HBAR is my number 2. Definitely something I like for the long term. But yeah, and on the other side of price appreciation for XRP, which I don't think is going to be very far from now. One, the Mastermind is going to be shut down. So on that, we're going to lock the doors there. If you're a part of that community, you will be locked in at the prices. We will lock it down for 30 days and then, open the doors back up at 10 times the prices and be vetting people pretty stringently. If that's something you're interested in, you can use the code right here, Beyond Broke 1MO, all capitalized. Get you a free month there in the group. You go to beyondbroke.com and you go check that out. Financial education, business resources, private deals, health share program. So if you're having a hard time getting insurance or health insurance, there's an option there for you. And a fantastic community of people, more in real life events than any other community, the XRP community for sure. Here in Dallas, and then we'll probably have another one in Florida. We'll have one in San Francisco, maybe one up in the flyover states or the Midwest, and then maybe another one in Oklahoma City before the end of the year. Those 4 are on the docket. Get you guys dates if you are there in the Mastermind. The last one we had was in correlation with XRP Vegas there in Vegas just a few weeks ago at the Foundation Room. 2 free drinks for everybody. This person said, did I talk about ZBEC? Yes, I made a video on it. Go check it out on the YouTube channel. Is there opportunity there? Sure. Is it as big as some of the other stuff that's out there? Absolutely not. So yeah, would love to have you guys in the Mastermind if that's something you're interested in. Again, code's right here, Beyond Broke, all capitalized, number 1, and then MO gets you a free month there in the group. So anyway, I think that there's going to be some pretty significant price appreciation on XRP with oil and everything that'll play out. And on the other side of that, we will continue to look at other opportunities in the market. Things like DAG, things like Hash, things like, what are some other ones that I think are sleepers that people really just haven't caught on to yet? And again, I want to predicate this. Nothing said here is financial advice, only for entertainment and educational purposes only. This person keeps typing quant over here. I don't understand quant. I don't understand the value proposition for quant. I think Overledger is going to be used. Absolutely. Quant doesn't move value on Overledger. It just pays the fees. So I made a bunch of money on quant. Got in at like $7, $8 early on, brought it up to 200. Did pretty well. But on the long term, I don't understand the value proposition for quant. There's probably other people out there that could explain that better than me. I'm probably ignorant, but that's definitely not one that I'm overly interested in. XDC, yeah, for sure. We just had Ken on the show. If you guys want to go check that out, they're on the YouTube channel. He's the head of U.S. development for XDC here, and killing it. The integrations and the partnerships that he's created for XDC are awesome. I think $1 to $5 is very reasonable for XDC in the near future. We know a lot of people that are building on that network, and been to Atul and Ritesh's office there in Dubai. Lots of good stuff going over there on XDC. That one is actually used to settle value on the network. What, crazy value proposition. Do you believe XRP will replace Swift? No, I believe Swift will use XRP to settle. I always don't get into TikTok over here, and I feel bad about it. So I've been trying to run down some more questions at the beginning here for TikTok before we hop into the super chats over here on YouTube. I always forget to say this, but if you wouldn't mind, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It does help the channel grow. Almost like 60,000 subs here on YouTube, which is wild. Same thing over there on Twitter. And it wouldn't be possible without you guys. So just want to say thank you to people that take time out of their evening to hang out with me here on the lives and engage and ask really good questions. I really enjoy this. I get a lot of fulfillment from it. And it's cool to hang out with you guys a couple nights a week, both Monday and Wednesdays. We got Chucks. What's up, man? He says, Jake, you are way ahead of your time for your age. Thanks for sharing your time and knowledge. Question is, why doesn't Ripple acquire R3/4? Seems like a perfect marriage to me. Maybe post price appreciation that can happen. They were originally partners. R3/4 does not have a settlement token for their infrastructure. They rely on the mainnet of the XRPL and XDC, and wherever liquidity and legal regulation is, that's what they will use to be able to settle real time between the siloed ecosystems that they create, those private permissioned ecosystems on Corda. I'm actually certified R3 Corda business development. So very familiar with their infrastructure. Partnered with them to build a POC for some stuff that I think our NDAs are still in effect for. I don't know. I have to go back and look at that. But will Ripple acquire them? Possibly. It's possible that they would. I know that there's a lot of stablecoins that they're both working on, and they both use the XRPL to settle between their private permissioned ecosystems that they've developed that are basically side ledgers off of the XRPL. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know if they'll end up buying them or not. It's good to have competition for antitrust laws. That's the other thing. So, you know, well, I say that. I would actually prefer there to be giant monopolies that would reduce cost for the consumer. That's a completely different topic, and we can go down that rabbit hole if you guys want to. But I think that they will remain independent. But I could be wrong. Maybe they'll make that acquisition. I've got a lot of new members here on the channel. Thank you guys for the super chats and the memberships. Rihanna Kingsford just wants to say thank you. Thank you so much for the super chat and hanging out with me. And yeah, I'm glad that, you know, I'm in a position to be able to provide value for people. Like I said, I get a lot of fulfillment from this. I wake up grateful and feel blessed every single day to be in a position to help others. And, you know, it's really cool. You know, I've never been in a position like this. I've always worked in sales and I've sold stuff to people, but I never really got wasn't excited about it, right? Like I sold nuts and bolts to people for a long time. I worked for Fastenal for a period of time and cool. I had relationships with my clients. I always liked people and relationships. I've always been relationship driven and, but it was just oh, you need this stuff. Cool. You have somebody that you can call and it'd be easy to get and I'll take care of you. But I didn't really feel like I was changing anybody's life or making an impact. And what we do now on a daily basis, I feel like that. I feel really, like I said, really blessed to be in a position to help people and build products and make sure that people that come into wealth through these investments in their digital assets are able to take full advantage of it. If we hadn't built what we've built, then you would be subject to dealing with banks and their limitations. They are 12 to 18 months away before they have anything close to what we've developed at Digital Wealth Partners. We talk to them, we know. So to have the infrastructure built out for bankruptcy remote segregated insured accounts for people to hold their digital assets with their spouse as a signer on the account, their kids as beneficiaries, to be able to set up trusts and insurance policies, to be able to protect these assets so that they grow over the long term. And then, you know, have financial products to be able to generate yield in the near future on your XRP that's just sat there in the account like a CD or a money market. Dream come true. You know, this is all the stuff that people wanted or thought would exist for XRP from the investment banks, you know, when the price appreciated. But it's not there. They don't care. They are where the liquidity is. They've got stuff for Bitcoin. They've got stuff for ETH. XRP is a foregone conclusion, in my mind, for price appreciation, but the banks and institutions don't really care about retail and curating services for them. And so when we found that out, we wanted to make sure people were taken care of. And that's what we built over there, Digital Wealth Partners, with the Mastermind and everything else that we've done too. So thank you for the kind words. And again, feel super blessed to be in a position to help. Nicole says, fearless leader. I don't know if I'm fearless. I take action in spite of fear. I can tell you that. Even when I am scared and I got butterflies in my stomach like anybody else would, I will still move forward. But it's definitely not fearless. Thank you for everything. Help me better understand the Tether Bitcoin connection. Does anyone else see how regulations will affect Tether and stunt or unravel Bitcoin's growth? There's other people. Jacob King, if you guys follow him over there on Twitter, he definitely sees it, and he will walk you through the whole Ponzi scheme and how it's propped up and the way that it works. There's a few other people that are calling for this. But again, that's just one part of my thesis where I've orchestrated everything together to get to the price appreciation for XRP. But there's almost a direct correlation from when they print Tether to the price appreciation on Bitcoin. They've literally inflated the price over the years by printing funny money with Tether, and now they've used it as a proxy to be able to soak up treasuries for the Fed so that they didn't have to print money. It's also served as a way that they could track all of the transactions that wanted to circumvent sanctions. It's a publicly available network to be able to transmit value, either moving through ETH or Sol or Tron or some of the other networks that have allowed Tether to issue or mint Tether on their network. But as liquidity gets sucked out of Tether, or those are frozen, what's backing Bitcoin will fall apart. The whole liquidity system, similar to how people talk about ROUSD and XRP, the stable coins are what brings liquidity into an ecosystem, and without them, you're just not going to have the same amount of backing or growth that you would otherwise. And so I would say ROUSD and other stable coins minted on the XRPL or on the EVM side chain are analogous to the way that they interact with XRP will be analogous to the way that Tether has propped up or inflated Bitcoin. And as long as those stable coins are used and settled across that network and move in and out of that asset, then you're going to see that price appreciation. But as soon as that's constricted, you would see a removal of that liquidity and a reduction in price of the token. So hopefully that makes sense. And it's almost, it won't quite be like Tether, or not Tether, but Luna UST. There was a whole negative feedback loop associated with that. You could arbitrage between Luna and UST the whole way down. Basically buy at a value of 1 and then sell it at a discount and then arbitrage that the whole way down. I don't know that that'll happen specifically with Bitcoin because it's not algorithmic like that, but there may be a similar play for people with futures and other financial products issued on Bitcoin to make a bunch of money as it's collapsing. We got Nick, hey Jake from Australia, shouting out another drink to start the vid. Mate, really love what you said 3 weeks ago about time with your boy. It shows you're being trustworthy. We appreciate that, man. I don't get as much time with him as I would like. Him and my wife they ride horses, so she took him to some lessons tonight, which was good. But yeah, I'm hoping on the other side of price appreciation. We've continued to scale out the team. I've got a really good team. Again, super blessed to be working with the people that I am, and they problem solve. I have this grand vision of where I think we can be and what we can accomplish. And I'm really good at running ahead of other people and putting the pieces on the board, and then, giving them guidance on what I want it to look like. And then they're able to orchestrate that and put all the pieces together with all the nuance and, technical pieces that it's not my game. I get frustrated and bored if I've got to sit in one spot and just hammer a square peg into a round hole over and over again. I like variety, and I spend a lot of my time on big vision and, sales and working with partners and curating, business partnerships or business development. Again, just to pool all that talent and bring it back and, provide as much value as I can to the team and continue to build with the resources. But hopefully in the near future, over the next year or two, I'll be able to, whittle it back to, I don't think I'll ever get to like 30 hours a week. I think at any time that I'm not working, I feel like I could be doing more. But I do need to like carve out a lot more time for my family. And so I'm going to be intentional about that probably over the next 6-12 months here after we see a little price movement. Carve out some vacation time and be able to go, enjoy that with my family. Michael Paul, hey man, he says, hey Jake, I have 6 years till I can access my IRA. Early withdrawal is 25% taxes plus 10% penalty and fees. Then put it in income, 40% allocation, 10% return. Excuse me. The math says this is good. Am I missing anything? We are about to be able to generate returns inside of your IRA in the very near future. We've got an algorithmic trading strategy that'll be able to compound whatever assets you want inside your IRA. That strategy will be able to trade up to $1 billion inside of our infrastructure. And right now, I think we have about 50 million in IRAs over there at Digital Wealth Partners. And so just depends, you've got 6 years here. I don't know what you have outside of your IRA. If you've got a pretty substantial amount outside the IRA, then maybe you let it ride. And again, this is just me thinking through this. This is not financial advice. I would go talk to your advisor at Digital Wealth Partners, and they could give you a much clearer picture than I can on this because they're going to understand all the constraints and your total financial picture. I'm just thinking through framework and considerations here. If you had the same amount outside, I'd probably let it ride. It is in an IRA. You didn't specify if it's a Roth or not. So I don't know if it's pre-tax or post-tax, if it's just tax deferred or tax-free. All those things are considerations, right? 6 years isn't that long of a time. 6 years, XRP is worth $100,000 a piece. So at that point, then you could, and there'll be a bunch of other financial products that we'll develop in that time that will allow you to be able to generate returns, put that into a side pocket, and then we'll be able to do things with that. So I'm with you. but I'm a lot younger than you. I did liquidate my IRA a couple years ago when it was 30 cents. It was far less expensive on the fees and taxes when I did it than it would be today. So all those are considerations. I would just go talk with your financial advisor at Digital Wealth Partners. Maybe Tom, who is our certified financial planner, and Tom Teal can help you out with that. We got Michael Paul. He says, what are your expected return on IRA funds? I don't know yet. I have to go look at our partners' track record with their algorithm. I'm hoping for somewhere between 5 and 10%, but it could be more. Just depends on what that ends up looking like. Thank you, pretty lady. I need to get the information from these people, but I just want to say this is probably the coolest cup I've ever seen. They got another one. It's a Ripple one. It was a wonderful couple that we met there at XRP Vegas. I will get their information for you guys, but this is cool. This is really cool. She took the whole time to bejezzle or whatever you want to call this, but it says XRP on one side and then it's got the logo on the other. Pretty schwanky. Johnny Laker says, are you Brad's apprentice? Both have 589 followers on X. Just trying to guess the connection. I've only talked to Brad a couple times. He did know who I was, which was really weird for me the first time that I met him. So I didn't get to, I don't like to bum rush people or I don't know. I kind of lay low and just wait till there's an opportunity to talk to somebody. He was at the first XRP Vegas that I did attend, but he had private security on him. He was at the VIP party. There were 300 people there that all wanted to talk to him. And I was like, I'll see Brad when I see Brad. You know, there'll be some other opportunity where it's a little bit more intimate and I can have an actual conversation with him that's not like in passing. He's going to meet 1,000 people. He's not going to remember me type thing. So I waited. And then later that year in October, I attended CoinAlts 2023 and walked up to him with Ray Fuentes, me and him. Just, you know, said hi before his keynote with Jack McDonald there. And he said, "Hey, Jake," reached out his hand, shook my hand. And I'm like, "You know me?" This is interesting, you know, to see that. I definitely, I don't have his phone number or anything like that, you know, but it is cool. And Brad's a cool guy. You know, he's Rock Chalk Jayhawks, you know, Kansas. He's just a normal person like you and me, you know, obviously very professional and has done really well. And his leadership skills are second to none to be able to run a large corporation and scale it like Ripple. Worked at Yahoo, you know, well connected. But yeah, only met with, well, I met him at Swell. We talked to him at Swell a bunch last year in Miami. But he lives in Miami too. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, you know, there's a reason for the 589. And it's popping up a lot here lately. I don't know if you guys have seen Elon's followers and how many people Trump's following and all of the other stuff that's going on for 589. We also, you know, we'll put the tinfoil hat on here for you guys for a second. I don't know if you looked at XRP's circulating supply, but if you'll just give a Google over there for XRP coin market cap and scroll on down here, you can see that the circulating supply for XRP is 58 billion, 58.81 billion. Interesting. I wonder if it'll be 58.9 billion when price appreciation happens. We're looking for another, what does that end up being? 90 million, another 90 million XRP circulating supply to get there. We'll see. Already did that one. We got the bullish Teddy. Okay. Waiting on oil. While the Oilers might win the Stanley Cup. Mastermind is going to 5x in price, 10x in price after $10. If we sign up now or grandfathered in, you absolutely are. Yeah, you stay at the same prices. And again, appreciate you mentioning it. If you guys do want to go check out the community there, we have almost 3,000 people, which just blows my mind. Continuing to grow. Again, trying to provide as much value as we possibly can for people. I have paid a lot of money to be part of Masterminds, and they've given me nowhere near the amount of value that we provide. But if you do want to check it out, it is Beyond Broke, all capitalized, the number 1, and then MO gets you a free month there in the group, both social and Carbon 1. And again, it locks you in. If you're in now, before prices move, you don't have to worry about it. You're locked in. Let's see here. Lots of good people here in the chat. Appreciate you guys hanging out tonight. We got KJ. They say, what's the minimum requirement for us to form an LLC with DWP? And are you currently able to produce returns on XLM as well? 2 questions here. So you actually don't work with Digital Wealth Partners to produce, to set up an LLC. That's under Digital Family Office. So if you do want to set up an LLC for your digital assets, if your assets are somewhere between $50,000 and $80,000 in current value, so they've appreciated to that, or that's what you've invested in the market here recently, that's about the time that setting up an LLC to protect your digital assets and manage them makes a lot of sense. And we've done more of these than anybody else in the world. We've set up more holding companies to manage your alternative investments with, specifically, allocating stuff to digital assets there in Wyoming more than anybody else. We do that for many reasons. If you go talk to Clinton Donnelly or other people, they're going to tell you to set up a crypto LLC. Don't set up a crypto LLC. The NAICS code that you want to use is 551112 or 551114. That is a holding corporation that manages investments. Okay. and you want to set up a single member LLC, because if you set up a multi-member LLC or a limited partnership, it's going to be a taxable event when you contribute the assets to the LLC. So we make sure that we do single member. If you need to add your spouse on there, you just make them a manager. They can be a signer on the accounts. Not a big deal. Most states have very strong spousal rights. There are a few that don't, but we'll make you aware of that. But if you want to set that up, you just go to digitalfamilyoffice.io and go to services, and there's a little drop down, and you click LLC formation. If you use the code 50OFF, 50OFF DAG, like Digital Ascension Group, LLC, that's 50OFF DAG LLC, all capitalized. Gets you, we're normally $4,000 to set up the LLC, but that gets you everything all in for $2,000. That discount will go away on the other side of price appreciation. We will not offer any discounts publicly on the other side of price appreciation. We'll take care of people in the mastermind, but anybody publicly will not be able to participate and get that benefit. So take advantage while you can. If your assets are, again, north of $50,000 to $80,000 in current value, that's when it starts to make sense. A couple grand gets you EIN, articles of organization, certificate of good standing, the registered agent, the compliance to make sure that your corporate veil maintains its authenticity and isn't able to be pierced. We give you a virtual office to be able to send your mail to. You get a template for the operating agreement to make sure that again, the company's structured the right way. Just that piece, if you go to an attorney, somewhere between $1,800 and $2,500 just for that piece, not the filings and everything else that we do. And then in addition to that, we give you a step-by-step process on how to move your assets into the LLC, along with a meeting if you need one to discuss anything else. So again, try to provide as much value as we possibly can, way more than anybody else is going to for those prices. And again, that's a limited time deal on the other side of price appreciation. It will be $4,000 to set up the LLC, and we will not offer any discounts publicly. But you also asked about XLM and returns on that. We can currently custody XLM, but we do not have ways to be able to generate returns on it. Unfortunately, it's not a treasury asset that most people are holding, and we don't get the same amount of liquidity provision against XLM. Most people are willing to, release margin around 20 or 30% of that value. And if we traded that in the strategies, it's really just not going to give you a whole lot of return on that. We are looking at ways to be able to generate returns on XLM, XDC, and HBAR before the end of the year. And I think we could see some price appreciation on those that would lend some credibility to those assets and the ability to, move things along in that area. But right now, we're aggressively working toward yield-bearing products on XRP, and we already have returns being generated on XRP. And I'll say this here too. We recently had a problem with Munisy protocol. It's unfortunate to hear that. I was very hopeful, that some of these DeFi protocols would stick around and actually benefit people. No insurance on that. Nexus Mutual could be an insurer on some of these smart contracts or DeFi protocols, but people are not doing that. As far as I'm aware, we're the only people that are actually paying real returns on XRP, and we're absolutely the only people doing it inside of institutional custody without any counterparty risk on your XRP. So if it sounds too good to be true, most of the time it is. We're looking for sustainable returns somewhere between 10 and 20%, targeting around 12% a year in the funds that we have. And then on the yield-bearing products that we're looking at, it's going to be somewhere between 2 and 6% a year. But that's just, holding your XRP in the account. Don't have to worry about it. You know that it's safe there. Again, secured, segregated, insured, bankruptcy remote. All the stuff that I've always wanted everything to be able to mitigate risk for another Celsius or FTX or any of those things, or being rugged in a DeFi protocol. We've made sure that all of that's in place. So again, hate that for those people. I hope that there's some recourse and people are able to get their assets back. Doppler Finance is another one out there, which again, good right now. We've reached out to them to try to, figure out how we could partner and work with them. We've heard nothing back. If you guys can touch on them, I would love to have a conversation and figure out what synergies there are. We want to work with other DeFi people in the ecosystem. I just had Flair and Hugo on the channel to talk about what that's going to look like in the near future, to be able to integrate that with institutional custody. This person's asked, what's the site to go set up the LLC? It's digitalfamilyoffice.io. That's digitalfamilyoffice.io. Services page, and then LLC formation. And you can use the code 50OFF, 50OFF, DAG, LLC, get you everything all in for $2,000. So again, we want to be the conduit between TradFi and DeFi. And just sad to see, people still getting taken. Hate that for people. So if you do want real returns, if you want institutional custody, we are running a special right now through the end of this week. If you got 50,000 XRP at Digital Wealth Partners, we will work with you. We would love to. You are going to have to set up an LLC to begin with. But if you have at least that much XRP, then you can get institutional custody, all the stuff I just rattled off, segregated account, insured, bankruptcy remote, access to returns, the ability to borrow against your XRP if you chose to do so. Interest rates aren't great right now, but with the new partner that we're bringing on, I think that could change very quickly. I'm hoping that we'll be somewhere around prime plus 200 bips, so around 6.5%, 7% in the near future to be able to borrow against your XRP. This person's asked, what was the discount code? 50 off OFF DAG, like Digital Ascension Group, LLC, all capitalized is the code there for the LLC. So again, you use that, go set up your LLC, and then you'd be able to work with Digital Wealth Partners if you have at least 50,000 XRP. And that can be across your IRA, your personal name that you're going to move into the LLC if you had a trust. But it's just an amalgamation of the total of accounts that you have. We would love to work with you and provide all the benefits that we've worked really hard to curate for the XRP family. And again, the XLM, we can custody that too, but we don't quite have all the cool stuff built out for that yet. We got Rob. What's up, Rob? He says, is it possible to repost your list of 10 things to do or not do for 90 to 120 days immediately after appreciation? Yeah. We can kind of run those down here, right? So don't tell people. I know that's going to be hard and you're going to be excited. Call your CPA, call your attorney, call your spouse in whatever order you feel is appropriate on those three. But those are the three people that need to know. And outside that, you really want to hold it pretty close to the chest. Even your close family, your friends, people are going to come out of the woodwork when they find out that you have a bunch of money. I would set up a family board or a financial committee and have a process or system to be able to vet deals and do due diligence. If somebody wants a loan or they want you to invest in their company, then yeah, say yes, but you need to present a prospectus and a business plan and financials, and we'll vet it. And if it looks good, then we'll invest. This person says $50,000 or 50,000 XRP. It's 50,000 XRP is the minimum. That is correct. 50,000 XRP, not dollars, to work with Digital Wealth Partners. And if you want to, so you already got the LLC set up, you've moved your assets in there, you can go to digitalwealthpartners.net and fill out the contact us form, and they will get back to you. I will say we've seen a lot of demand, like a lot of demand over the past couple of weeks here since we started this promotion. And some of our advisors are booked out 2 and 3 weeks, but we do have spots available to talk to an actual financial advisor about your digital assets and your specific situation. That's the other benefit of working with us, right? You have an actual advisor that can tell you, that's familiar with XRP and XLM and XDC and HBAR and Bitcoin if you have Bitcoin or ETH. They have a full understanding of all these digital assets, all the products that are available for those. We had a conversation with another insurance company this morning to be able to do PPLI insurance in other jurisdictions. Park that with Zodia and some of the other custodians that you guys are probably aware of. So really, really cool to be in a position to partner with a lot of these institutions that are above board and setting the standard in different areas. But back to the question here. So lay low, get used to having the money sat in your account. I could be wrong. I don't have a crystal ball, but I anticipate that XRP is going to stay a high, stable price on the other side of this one after the utility kicks in, right? After they start settling transactions on the back end of the stock market, and so with Swift and for the FX market and commodities and the other areas that they're going to use it for, it's not coming back down. You're not going to get a crazy drop in price like we've seen in the past, 90% reduction on the value. It's going to move very different on the other side of utility than it has. So you're going to be kosher. You're going to be able to hold it there. Get financially educated if you're not. Again, join the Mastermind group. Get around people that understand what's going on, have aligned interest, or going through the same things you are. You can't find a better community, and I'm biased on that, so take it with a grain of salt. There's other communities out there. We've talked to all of them. Some of them are really good friends. But I can say without a shadow of a doubt, we provide the most value, especially when it comes to financial education and business resources in our group. So surround yourself with the right professionals. That's the next piece of that, right? Like I said, call your CPA and your tax attorney, and then your spouse, or whatever order makes the most sense for you. But you need to surround yourself with the right professionals. You need people that are going to make sure that you don't mess this up, that it's done the right way, that it's structured, that it's protected, that it's going to be able to last for generations, that are also going to be able to teach you the tools of the trade and the resources that you're going to have access to when you have a bunch of money. This person says, what are your thoughts on buyback that Zach has talked about? I mean, I was part of the buyback committee. We worked with Jimmy to put all that together, man. The red folder and all that. Like, I was on it. So was Max. So Max was part of the group that put together the valuation for all that. I don't know. Maybe. I do think that XRP will trade at a premium plus spot on the other side of price appreciation, and when it's implemented in a lot of this stuff. I don't think that it's going to be, available. I think there's going to be a supply shock, and it's going to be trading at a pretty significant premium on the secondary market for people. So if you consider that a buyback, then maybe sure. But I don't think governments are going to approach individuals and say, hey, we want your XRP. Maybe they will. The other thing I was going to mention, and we didn't talk about this for Doppler Finance, they've got about 30 million locked up in LTV, currently producing returns. We've got $80 million already in the funds producing returns for our clients. We are by far the largest opportunity for XRP that exists today to generate returns on your XRP, which is wild to me. I thought surely there was a DeFi protocol or somebody else out there that was, 100 million or maybe $1 billion. That's it. We're it. With the price appreciation today, we're probably closer to 100 million in the fund producing returns for our clients. And we'll continue to, provide additional funds that people can participate in. I don't know what those are going to look like. You would need to talk to your advisor at Digital Wealth Partners and see, what the opportunities are that exist. I know we had just like 1 or 2 spots left in the main funds, the 506Cs that we originally put together. And so, yeah, this person's asked, is Ledger Nano good for holding XRP? I don't mean to scare anybody, so that's not what this is about. I don't hold my stuff on Ledger Nano. I wouldn't. We've had clients that have lost, between the three of them, a total of about $3.2 million worth of XRP after they updated the firmware. And these are not people that are like rookies or gave out their keys or other stuff. I'm not, accusing Ledger of having a backdoor or anything like that. It's just interesting to me that their assets got moved off of their wallets without them sharing their keys with anybody. I would recommend Decent is what I prefer, or Zaman. But Zaman's charging fees now. I don't know if you guys have seen that or not, but if you send a large value payment out of Zaman wallet, they rake you for like 40 XRP or some, excuse me. Anyway, I was upset the other day when I sent a large transaction out of that wallet and they took fees and they took my XRP, which is good for, we'd say like he did a lot of stuff for the community and maybe they deserve that at this point. I'm just so used to it being free to use that app. It's good for them to monetize that and make some money back, but dang, man, 40 XRPs, a lot of money later on. So again, I like Decent wallet. They have a biometric for signing. They've got a code. You can add a 25th seed phrase. They've got the largest breadth of assets that you can hold on there. No, it's not LEPAL. It's not Arculus. LEPAL and Arculus are both air gapped, which is interesting. I don't think you need all of that extra, Tangem. I like Tangem. Tangem cards with the Zaman wallet, I think, is a good way to go about it. But again, they're going to rake you for fees on Zaman now if you're going to send a large transaction. So I don't know. Decent is my preferred wallet, and just transparently, we are an affiliate. I used it before we ever move into institutional custody, which is where I have my assets now. But again, once you got more than 50,000 XRP, that is what I would highly recommend is institutional custody for your assets. This person's asked about Trust Wallet. They're probably okay. I wouldn't keep anything on a hot wallet or a warm wallet. It would definitely be cold storage. And I would, again, I like Decent. I think we make like $5 if you buy it through a link. So up to you. But they are my favorite out of everybody. We got Sean. He says, "Hey, Jake, I just onboarded the 50K XRP with Anchorage. Awesome, man. Spoke with my advisor, Tim, a few hours ago. Really excited for the future." See, that's what I'm talking about, dude. Congratulations. You are kicking ass, taking names, being proactive. And you're in a position to, maximize this for you and your family. You should be proud, dude. I'm proud for you. That's really cool. Glad to be working with you. We got Alan. He says, recommend swapping Bitcoin for XRP. Look at the chart, okay? I don't recommend anything. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't own anything except XRP. I bought a little bit of hash, like $2,000 worth a little while back. That's my only investment that I've made in XRP outside of XRP in the last 3 years. So anyway, Bitcoin, cool. A bunch of people made a lot of money on Bitcoin. I think that there's an opportunity here for an arbitrage play with Bitcoin to XRP. I would look at the chart, XRP versus Bitcoin or XRP/Bitcoin, and you can see that it's poised for at least a 10x return in opposition to Bitcoin from the current level, if it just gets back to all-time high against Bitcoin. So I think it's going to go a lot higher than that against Bitcoin. But even if it just got back to the all-time high against Bitcoin, we'd be looking at a $25 XRP from here. So I'm here for ROI, right? I'm here to make a bunch of money. And then, once I'm centimillionaire, billionaire, then we'll hedge and we'll be looking at, 8 to 12% a year. And that's what the family office and Digital Wealth Partners is set up for. KJ says, height and weight. I am 5'11" on a bad day, 6 foot on a good day. Depends on what shoes I got on. And about 230 pounds. About 11% body fat. We got Group 1, Gavin. What's up, man? Hey there, Legend. What's up, man? He says, can you kindly explain how the returns work? Give an example, especially when prices are fluctuating. How is that determined? Love you. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for all the good questions. You always hang out here and always throw out the super chat. So just want to say thank you for taking the time, asking good questions, and the support. So right now, currently, the way that we generate returns is we vetted a bunch of people that have run funds for a long time. We looked at market neutral strategies. So what's a market neutral strategy? Something that's not going to lose money. We don't care to make 100% on our money every year or have crazy upside. We just don't want to lose XRP. That's the number one rule. So we vetted about 20 different firms that had market neutral strategies, and we whittled it down to the 2 that we work with now. Both of these funds have 6-year track records and have produced anywhere between 20 and 40% a year consistently for the past 4 years. So what does that mean for you, and why do we get to 10 to 20% returns? Well, excuse me, the XRP that our clients have gets put up as collateral, stays there in institutional custody. So this is the part where there's no counterparty risk. You can't like lose your money because somebody goes bankrupt or runs off with it or any of that. The assets stay there in institutional custody, insured at Anchorage or institutional custody at another one of our partners, and the value gets reflected at Binance or on another exchange where these sub-advisors get a margin release against it. Now, that sounds risky, but it's not, because it's an 80% margin release, and they only ever trade somewhere between 40 and 50% of the credit line. So that's how we get to this 10 or 20% return. Even though they're producing somewhere between 20 and 40% a year, we're targeting around 12% for people, 1% a month. Like if we can just make 1% a month in cash or in kind on people's XRP for them, I'm stoked. That's the dream outcome for me. That's obviously going to do better than inflation, and it's going to allow you to compound your wealth or cut yourself a paycheck and passively, right? Mailbox money. That's what we want. So on this first quarter here, it's looking like we'll be somewhere around 3% for both the funds, which is right on target. Super excited about where things are sitting right now, and the potential for the distributions here in July. There is no distribution on the growth fund, so that's where they trade futures. They have a proprietary way of doing that. They were up 20% in November last year when we saw a little price action in 1 month. So that would be 20% more XRP in 1 month if we saw a big move that people could potentially get on their XRP to compound it over the year. But the income fund will pay out quarterly. And then we're going to roll out some more stuff here in the future that'll hopefully pan out to be monthly distributions for people instead of on a quarterly basis, which smooths cash flows and does a lot of things to benefit people, especially if you're looking for consistent income, right? So that's what we're looking at. That's what we've curated. Those are the partnerships that exist. Continuing to add sub-advisors to be able to diversify across different strategies, so that if people are investing in the higher risk returns on a risk curve somewhere between 1 and 10%, 1 being no risk, 10 being all the risk in the world, probably about 1.7, 1.8, because there's no counterparty risk. Assets stay there in institutional custody. They just get reflected over there. The only risk is the partner loses money over a quarter, which has only ever happened one time, I think, in their past. So highly unlikely, but it is a possibility, and so that's why there's that small amount of risk there. Hopefully that explains it for you. But if you do want more information, again, you can reach out to Digital Wealth Partners, and they would be able to give you a full meal deal. Again, I think there's a possibility that swapping Bitcoin for XRP could be a really good play. He keeps asking. Thank you, Alan. We've got Doc77. He says, you're a rock star. I'm not a rock star. I'm not in a band, but I appreciate the kind words. Can you please explain the process of getting my crypto off an exchange like Coinbase and placing into a cold wallet? Yeah, pretty simple. So your cold wallet's going to have a address that you create for whatever the asset is, XRP, XLM, Bitcoin, HBAR, whatever it is. You're going to take that long address, you're going to copy it, you're going to go back over to the exchange, and there's going to be something that says withdraw or send crypto or transfer. It depends on what exchange you have your assets on, but that's what you're going to click on, and you're going to look to remove that asset in particular. It's going to ask you what wallet address you want to send it to. That's where you'll copy paste that wallet address that you took off your cold wallet. Highly recommend copy paste and verifying that wallet address multiple times before you send it, especially the first time. Most of the time after the first time, it's logged and you can like make it a preferred address or something on your exchange, which is nice, kind of like a whitelisted option. I wouldn't send the full amount that you were trying to transact that first transaction. I would send a test transaction to that wallet and make sure that it lands over there. If you're sending money off of an exchange, it's going to take a little bit longer, somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes for XRP and XLM. For if it's Bitcoin, could take up to an hour to settle over there in the other wallet. You're going to be biting your nails while that's going on and freaking out, especially once you send that second transaction for that larger amount. It's still going to take a little bit longer. Sometimes they make you re-KYC, ask you why you're sending it off of there, for what purpose. There's a bunch of BS that they get you with when you're trying to move your assets off of an exchange, because you are a creditor of an exchange. You don't own those assets. They own those assets, and they're using them to be able to generate returns and not paying you anything for it in most circumstances. So when you remove that takes money out of their pool. They always hold these assets in an omnibus account. Also, it's not segregated or separated out for you. There are a few exchanges or brokerages that do that. Caleb & Brown does segregate your assets. However, they are not institutional custody as far as my definition goes. Okay, they can say whatever they want. They don't have the licenses to operate as a qualified custodian in Australia. The infrastructure that they have is Fireblocks, which uses MPC technology and not HSMs, which is not compliant with institutional custody here in the US. It's not insured. They have Fireblocks insurance. It's just on the infrastructure. It's not on the assets themselves. And they're not bankruptcy remote. You are a creditor of Caleb & Brown. So because of all those things, and they could change them tomorrow if they actually got the licenses and did it the right way. I would love to promote them as an institutional custodian, but they are not at this time, based on my personal definition. Okay. Do they leverage Fireblocks? Sure. But that's all they can really tout. We do all of those other things that make us an actual qualified custodian. And that's why we partner with Anchorage. And that's why BlackRock is holding all their assets at the same custodian that we are, because they provide the best institutional custody in the US. So anyway, I digress. Move back to this deal. So you're going to send that larger amount over there. You're going to wait till it settles. And you should be good to go to move, again, test transaction and then a large amount off of the exchange. And if you want to work with us, you can move your assets off of the exchange directly into your wallet that we set up for your LLC or your trust inside institutional custody. Ideally, it comes from a cold wallet, but it's okay if it comes from institution or from an exchange. J-Dog, what's up, man? He says, hey, Jake, just want to say thanks for everything you do. Thank you, man. Appreciate you. Like I said, I get a lot of fulfillment from this. I enjoy coming on here and answering these questions, and you guys always ask great questions. He says, thanks for the prompt response in the Mastermind this morning. Really appreciate you and your team and everyone there in the Mastermind. Thanks, man. Sometimes I'm not very prompt with the responses in the Mastermind. I need to get better about that. You just happened to catch me. I try to get in there and answer all the questions that people ask me in the Mastermind. I just want, and this is a point of housekeeping, I will never message you. It won't come from me. In the Mastermind, you can message me and I'll answer. I'm never going to message you. So if you come into the Mastermind and somebody named Jake Claver messages you, block and report, because it's not me. Okay. If you message me directly, then I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. But I will not ever reach out to you there in the Mastermind. Man, you guys with the super chats, thank y'all so much. We got Sean Sides. What's up, man? He says, your crystal R3 mug is showing you the future. So many are saying $30 to $50 a cycle. Do they just not see the true value of XRP? Thanks, Legend. The Legend, man, you get me every time with that. Yeah, a lot of people are looking at TA, technical analysis, and you could look at this on a log scale. And if you look at it on the log scale, you get to the right numbers. But if you just do it on a linear scale, you're not going to see it. So digital assets always move on a logarithmic pattern. And I think that's where the TA guys tend to mess up, is they look at a linear outlook for the overall growth of an asset. So I think people are just looking at the wrong chart. But I think they also kind of miss the long-term value proposition as well. Don, what's up, man? He says, if you set up a Roth, can I use that to lend against it? No. You cannot release margin or borrow against qualified funds. Whatever was initially used to invest in that vehicle cannot be borrowed against, unfortunately. So everybody asking about Ledger over here. Again, I really prefer decent. We've had multiple clients lose assets on Ledger that are not dumb people. And I just wouldn't risk it. I would hold it on a different cold wallet. So unfortunately, no, you can't borrow against your IRA. It's going to have to be non-qualified funds in order to be able to borrow against it. Kevin, what's up, man? He says, how much do you realistically believe XRP and HBAR go to within the next 5 years? Hold 5K XRP and 10K HBAR. Easily $10,000 to $50,000 for XRP. And HBAR depends on what it gets used for. If it tokenizes the stock market, if it ends up being the main blockchain for dApps, healthcare is another huge application for HBAR. A lot of value proposition there, but I don't know. The problem for me on HBAR is I don't know what the TAM is. I don't know what the total addressable market cap for the value that's going to be tokenized and moved on that network. And so it's difficult for me to estimate, but I do think that it's, I mean, you don't have Google and IBM and Dell and SoftBank and Boeing on your council and not going to be like the main blockchain that all those people use to tokenize data at scale. So super bullish on HBAR. I just don't know what the price appreciation is going to lead to. Double, triple digits for sure. But outside of that, I don't have a hard number for you. GI Kai, what's up, big dog? What's going on? No for this week, but hopefully we get some price movement in the upward direction here soon. If not, my wife is going to hurt me for continuing to buy XRP. Stay great. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for the kind words. And it's not just your wife. My wife said she will celebrate at a $7 XRP. So we're not there yet. We're not out of the woods yet. Yeah, man. Watch oil. I'm telling you guys, everything is lined up, ready to go. Everything that I've been talking about for more than a year and 3 months ago, I put out that domino video and got some nods, and we're here. Stablecoin regulation was what we're waiting on. It's on the floor. They can ram that through at any given time. We just need a crisis and a good catalyst to make that happen. And I feel like we're going to get it. We got Alan. He says, so how soon can XRP reach 500 and 10-year prediction? I mean, if Tether were to go down, you've read the Shane Ellis theory. It's 589 just on Bitfinex alone, without all the other catalysts and things that I'm talking about. So, I mean, that Tether could blow up tomorrow. As soon as stablecoin regulation pass, off we go. And then 10-year prediction. So we're looking at, 2035. Million? I think we could be at $1 million XRP by then. Maybe not. Maybe 6 digits, $100,000 XRP. Sure. We'll be on Mars at that point, right? So there's other economies and metaverses and all kinds of stuff. This person, Doc77, he says, does your company have the ability to take custody of my crypto from a cold wallet so that I can take advantage of your company's products? That is exactly what we do, Doc. We spin you up an FBO account, or a for the benefit of, there at Anchorage under our account. You have your own segregated wallet separate from everybody else's. It's insured up to $100 million. And you're able to hold your assets there. You add your spouse, put your kiddos on the account, get access to all the stuff that we have, products for returns, advisory. We have a webinar here in the near future for people that are interested in financial planning. All of our clients will be participating in that. You'll get access to it. We're going to do those once a quarter. Then we've got full financial planning for people that want to pay for that beyond just the webinar. But yeah, I mean, would love to work with you. So the two things you have to have in order to work with us at Digital Wealth Partners. One, your assets need to be in an LLC. So you can go to digitalfamilyoffice.io, digitalfamilyoffice.io, and then go to the services page and set up an LLC there. Or you can go do it yourself. You know, I've tried to make this as easy as possible and as cheap as possible for people so that you get it done the right way the first time. If you don't want to pay $2,000, I get that. Some people don't have $2,000 to pay. You can just go set up an LLC yourself and kind of work through stuff later on, maybe. I would not recommend using LegalZoom to do it. At least use an attorney or an agency to do it. But anyway, go set that up. If you want to work with us again, you can use our code on the website to get everything done for $2,000. It's 50 off, 50 OFF DAG LLC. That's 50 OFF DAG LLC. Get you everything all in that you need for the LLC there for $2,000. Once you have that set up, you need at least 50,000 XRP to work with us and hold it in institutional custody there. And again, our team will make sure that you have everything to get that done and moved over into the LLC the right way. You don't cause yourself any tax implications, and you'll be good to go. This guy says he's got 950 XRP. Don't tell people how much you have, man. Minimum to invest. You need at least 50,000 XRP to work with this, Ben. TAM is not market cap. It's potential revenue transactions volume across sectors. Yep, total addressable market. It's not the market cap. How long after the Genius Act is passed will we see significant price appreciation, in your opinion? As soon as they sanction Tether or freeze the accounts or do whatever they're going to do to Tether is when there'll be a liquidity crisis across the exchanges and have implications on Bitcoin. It will not take long. Alan, he says, hey, Jake Legend, killing me, man. After watching your domino theory, would you recommend swapping Bitcoin for XRP? Thanks for everything that you do. I don't own anything else, Alan. I'm going to have a little bit of hash that I bought, but my entire net worth is in XRP, and it's for a reason. Again, I'm here for ROI. It's not that I don't think Bitcoin will last over the long term. I don't think it's a store of value that a lot of people have propagated it as. But I think there's a huge arbitrage opportunity right now for people that are willing to make that switch just based on the chart and previous all-time high and how it's set up. Again, not a financial advisor. I can't give you financial advice. But I personally don't own Bitcoin and own all XRP. And it's not because I'm a maxi or anything else. I'm literally here for return on investment. And I think that on the other side of price appreciation, this will be a tier one asset. And the utility and benefit of owning this is going to far outweigh pretty much anything else on the other side of it. Honest Aim, what's up, man? He says, missed the last live traveling. I know, man. I'm so used to the super chats, and I missed you last time. He said, glad we're back. We used Arch to take a small loan, like the wealthy, using assets to buy more assets. Thanks for all that you're teaching us, little guys. Blessings to you and the family and the team. Thanks, man. Appreciate you. Glad to have you and your family there in the Mastermind group. And on that topic, if you do want to be able to borrow against your XRP, Digital Wealth Partners can provide that. But let's say you don't have that 50,000 XRP, and maybe you don't have the money to set up the LLC and stuff yet. We get that, right? Like, I know people are cash poor. You're dumping everything you can into these assets. I get it, believe me. If you still wanted to somehow borrow against it, we have another exclusive deal with Arch Lending through the Mastermind group. So if you're Carbon 1, you can get a free month there in the group. All you got to do is put in the code Beyond Broke, all capitalized, the number 1, and then MO gets you a free month there in the group. And you can take advantage of this as long as you're Carbon 1. You could use Arch to be able to borrow against your XRP. If you do have the Wyoming LLC, even if you have less than 50,000, you can use the LLC in Wyoming, and there's no minimum that you have to have in order to borrow against your XRP. So again, here's the code: Beyond Broke, all capitalized, the number 1, and then MO gets you a free month there in the group. Carbon 1 gets you access to the lending. If you have the LLC in place, there's no minimums. You could borrow against 100 XRP if you wanted to. I don't know why you would want to do that, but you could. It's 45% LTV or loan to value. So if you put up $100,000 worth of XRP, you could borrow $45,000. The term is up to you, 1 month to 12 months, however you want to do it. 13.5% interest. They do a 1.5% origination fee on the loan. So technically 15%. I know it's not cheap, but you're paying basically 1% a month in interest. It's a balloon loan at the end where everything's due back. So if you use that money wisely and invested it correctly, you could probably easily double it and be able to pay back the loan at the end, and maybe you have some more XRP than you did before. That's how most people have used it. There is a chance of loss, risk, margin call, all the same stuff, but you do get some protections working with Arch versus a DeFi protocol. Where is my ticker here? Oh, wow, I'm way up here, and we're already almost an hour and a half in. So we're going to try to get through the rest of these super chats rapid style. We got Rock Corp, Mr. Claver. Could the craziness in the news of the past week hurt or help adoption for price appreciation? I think it's a distraction. I think price appreciation is going to happen irrespective. Mighty Mouse says, hi, Sensei. What's up, man? Not Sensei. I did not promote Moonacy Protocol. Still finding my way, but the Mastermind helps a lot. Very good to hear that. I was just wondering if you hold, let's say, HBAR tokens and Hedera gets bought by Stellar, what happens to people holding HBAR tokens? An example. This is a good question for somebody that's probably new. So these tokens are issued on networks. Those networks don't just go away. If one company acquired another one, they're corporations. It's not like stocks. There's not a conversion or anything else. These are open, decentralized protocols and networks that have tokens that move value on them. So that still exists, completely independent of the corporation. There is no conversion or anything like that. So it would still exist. You would still own HBAR tokens. No problems. I don't think anything like that's going to happen. But again, it's a good question for somebody that might be new to the space. Bill, hello, Jake. Thank you for all the hard work. Thank you, man. Could you please explain the onboarding process? What securitized for advisors, and at what stage is onboarding process? Are we in custody of Anchorage Digital? Great question. So you'll go through the onboarding. You'll go through KYB. So know your customer and know your business. Fill all that out. Make sure that you're not a terrorist or somebody that's got sanctions or has committed fraud. Then we'll work with you as long as you pass that, which you sound like you probably would. And then we will get your account spun up there at Anchorage. You will get a funding email from Securitized for Advisors, which is the portal that you look at all of your assets through. If you're invested in the funds, we have proxy positions so that you can see those and all your assets in your wallet or your account there at Anchorage. You'll send a small micro transaction over to the wallet, make sure it settles just like you would any other time to make sure that everything's kosher before you send a large amount. Once it's settled and we verify that it's good, they verify your wallet, then they will allow you to send the rest of it over. And then it should show up right there in your Securitized for Advisors application on your computer, and you'll be able to monitor your assets and be able to, trade them or do whatever else you're going to do from that application. Working with your advisor, right? Like that's the whole point. Hero Kim says, thank you for taking the time to do these streams. Absolutely. When utility kicks in, can you explain where the XRP used to settle trend payment sits and who owns it? the counterparties will send it. So the banks will use it to be able to settle transactions out of their treasury of XRP between each other. Or they'll borrow it from Ripple and use ODL. There's a couple different ways that you can do that. And there might be liquidity pools or AMMs that also settle through XRP that people participate in and settle transactions through using the DEX on the network. So those would be owned by the people that participated in those pools. So those are kind of the different situations that'll work out where people are able to settle transactions using XRP. Group 1, Gavin says, my kids and I think you're freaking Sigma, bro. Appreciate that, man. I prefer Alpha. I definitely have type A personality. Where the dark pools get siphoned off eventually so that the price can move. Dark pools continue to be available after significant price appreciation. Yeah, there's always going to be some dark pools. Dark pools are profitable for institutions, but they will have to source supply from other people. What do you think about R3's partnership with Solana? Bad for XRP? Does this change your view on R3 XRP settlement? People are so funny, man. You got to trial some stuff, right? There's not quite enough liquidity in XRP to settle some of the transactions yet. So you want to test some things, but here's the real deal. I don't know if you look at the downtime for networks and the SLAs required for that. Microsoft has an SLA that states you can have up to 3 seconds a year and be offline. I'm pretty sure Solana would have lost that contract within a couple of days of getting it. It's not ever going to be an enterprise solution. It goes down way too often, but it's a great trial for something, right? So people just anticipate that, some type of partnership means that that's the only thing that they're going to use. Absolutely not the case. Test something first before you move to the real thing. And I think that's exactly what they're doing with Solana there. And to pull people away from XRP. When you've worked with the corporation, it's a little bit different than just speculating or reading stuff on the internet. Rippled says, hey, Jake, legend. What's up, man? Just want to give you a shout out to Future and John at Syndicate Lead for taking care of me on the first Carbon One investment. Great team. Awesome, man. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, so can't talk about what we're raising here for publicly, but we do have private investments that we do there in the group. If you want to learn more about those, you just join the Mastermind. We talk about them in the town halls and in other things. And again, if you want to check that out, it's free month for Social and Carbon One. Very low commit. You just check it out. It is Beyond Broke, all capitalized, the number 1, and then MO gets you a free month there in the group before the prices go up and we lock it down on the other side of price appreciation. We got Hunter. What's up, man? He says, looking into your cloudy crystal ball, in what order do you think things will go once a reverse carry trade unwinds? ETF approval, stablecoin bill. I think Japan will adopt XRP first. I think you'll see price start to appreciate because of that. I think the Ripple case will settle. And then you'll get announcements from Ripple for Amazon partnership and a bunch of other stuff. Maybe that's the day after the ETFs go for approval. They're going to have to settle the case with the SEC. Maybe they approve the ETFs before the case settles. That's a possibility. But I think it'll all be in what order. I don't really care. But all of those things are set up, ready to go. We got Brock. He says, hey, Jake, I recently got into XRP, a little over 1,500. What's the best way to avoid taxes when I sell in the future? By the way, I'm in Canada, sadly. Leave Canada would be the best way to avoid taxes. Move to a different jurisdiction. If you plan to sell your XRP here in the U.S., we're hopeful that there's not going to be any capital gains. I think that'll be the case. I think that they will remove them. I think they'll probably do that globally, to be honest with you, because otherwise it doesn't satisfy the use case. If all the banks are worried about taxes and small changes in the value when it settles and they swap, it's just too much to keep track of, especially for large value payments. So, yeah, just hang out, man. Glad you're here. You got in before things are going to go. But yeah, honestly, that if I only had 1,500 XRP, I would do anything I possibly could not to sell it, at least for 5 years. So that's just my personal opinion. You do what you want. You should have an exit strategy, whatever changes your life and whatever benefits you want to have for yourself and your family. Execute on that vision. But me personally, if that is the only allocation I had, I would just continue to work and hold. Chad says, I love the content. Active military duty stationed in California. Thank you for your service, man. If I establish my LLC through your company, would it be subject to California taxes or Nebraska, where I pay state taxes? Yes, I would use your address in Nebraska if you could. Nebraska is going to be a lot easier to circumvent. No, not circumvent. That's not the right word. Work with than California. California, they're going to get theirs. So yeah, I would use your Nebraska address if you could when you establish that LLC. Trying to get through all these super chats before we wrap it up. Hey Jake, thank you for the knowledge. Can you tell us about the Genius Act? It's the stablecoin bill. It doesn't allow for interest payments on stablecoins. It's going to make it difficult for enterprises to issue stablecoins. It's going to be curated toward the banks. However, I do think that anybody that has money transmitter licenses will be allowed to utilize the Genius Act to issue stablecoins, including but not limited to Amazon, X, Meta, all these other large social media platforms, anybody with a payment wallet. We got 1,589 viewers right now. Very cool. Here on YouTube. Yeah, I think you're going to see a ton. They need the Genius Act to pass in order to be able to stabilize the treasury market when the reverse carry trade unwinds. It's a critical component, and I'm really glad to see it finally on the floor here. We got Michael. He says, I filled out the LLC online. I have the required XRP. Would like to onboard before the deadline if possible. Great, man. We look forward to working with you. If you've gone ahead and filled out the LLC, just go over to digitalwealthpartners.net and fill out the contact us form. Fill out that with the name of the LLC that you used in the form and pay the onboarding fee, and you'll be good to go. You'll be locked in. We know that there's going to be circumstances that are out of people's control for forming the entity and getting that back. So as long as you started that process and you've paid the onboarding fee at Digital Wealth Partners, you'll be good to go. You do have to fund your account within 30 days, but your LLC will be back long before then. It's like 3 to 5 days sometimes on the LLCs. Crypto, they say, what is the threshold for substantial XRP tokens at this time? What are your thoughts on holding 100,000 ADA for the next 2 years? I like Cardano. I just don't know what the application is going to be. I've met Charles Hoskinson. We met him at Rare Evo in Austin, or not Austin, but Vegas last year. There's a family office that I know. We have a couple family offices that we're looking to work with that have over $100 million in Cardano. So there's obviously demand there. There are people that believe in it. Again, I think that it's a great network. I'm unsure of the actual use case for it. A lot of games being built on it right now. So what's the price appreciation look like? Again, hard to speculate without total addressable market to be able to kind of like peel that back for actual use cases. And the threshold for substantial XRP tokens. It's different for everybody, man. Like that's hard to say. It's not like you're substantial if it's this much or that much. Everybody's in a different financial position. And so substantial could be 500 XRP. Like my barber, he had $500 and he threw it at XRP at 30 cents because I mentioned it to him. That was substantial for him because that's all the extra money he had at the time. And then you got other people, like I got people here in Dallas that got 50 million XRP. You know what I mean? So just everybody's in a different position to take advantage of this, and anybody that's doing their research and looking at it and looking to make an allocation, whatever that is for them, I think that is substantial. Very political answer, I know, but that's the truth. I've met people from all different walks of life. We've met thousands of people that are holding XRP, literally thousands. And everybody's just in a different position. And, I don't ever want people to feel lesser than because they don't have a certain amount, because that's not fair. Jesse says, is there supposed to be an XRP ETF approval next week at the end of the pause for the Ripple case? Do you think the SEC will delay the decision next week? I feel like they're going to kick the can down the road for sure. I don't think so, man. I think there's going to be a systemic crisis. Looking for the Muna and the Juna and the Singa here in the short term. And ETF approvals would be a big part of that. We got Curtis. Hey, Jake, do you think that during the price appreciation, the ETFs, etc., Ripple will hold the price up of XRP, creating an escalating FOMO when the rest dump? Yeah, I think XRP is going to be going rocketing higher while everything else is crashing. I absolutely do. And you tipped me in euros, so it's late there where you are, and I appreciate you hanging out and staying up late to be able to watch this, or getting up early, one of the two. Johnny, what's up, man? He says, thinking about a family compound post price appreciation. I heard Texas might be a good spot. Thoughts? Thanks for all that you do. Yeah, there's a lot of land here, and it's not super expensive in comparison to the rest of the U.S. So come on down, John. We'll hook it up for you. I'm way outside of town, and there's lots of room by me. Mikey, thank you for the super chat, brother. No question, but I do appreciate you. We got MJ. MJ says, what oil company you like for best returns? Exxon, probably. If I was just going to pick an oil company, that's where I would probably put it. Corey Nelson, thank you for the super chat, brother. Maris on the super chat, they say, hey, Jake, hope you're doing your Dell, man. I am Dell. I am a Dell man. I like Dell. Just messing with you. Is there somebody that can help set up a family trust in Dubai? Yeah, Honest is our guy over there. If you would like a connection with Honest, just email us at info@digitalfamilyoffice.io, and we'll put you in contact with him. We've had everybody that's spoken with him and got things set up has only given us fantastic reviews. There's been other advisors that we worked with internationally that haven't had the same kudos on the other side of that, but he's got 5 stars from everybody we sent to him. We've got Back to the House. They say, hey, Jake, Mastermind member here. I am eligible for DWP with less than 50K promo or greater than 50K promo. Question, though, would I be able to borrow 45% LTV if I joined? Credit stipulations like a regular loan? There's no underwriting, bro. Like, if you got the collateral, they will loan it. This is not like a regular credit check. There's no hit on your credit. There's no application. If you got the assets, you get the loan. And that's how the world works for the wealthy. Welcome to being wealthy. If you got the collateral and you're able to put it up, you're able to get the loan. So, yeah, would happy to facilitate that once you get onboarded. We got Nitro Drive. They say, hey, Jake, reach out today to set up an LLC. Awesome, but haven't heard back from the team. How long does it usually take to head back? Thank you. Give us 24 hours right now, Nitro Drive. Give us a little bit of grace. We have a lot of people reaching out, and I, we pride ourselves on getting back to people. I actually had my team send me the reports today on how many people had emailed us and our response times. So I'll just run it down here for you. On the family office side, in the last week, we've had over 1,100 emails. Average response time is about 7 hours. Not great. I want people to be less than 6 is our SLA. So trying to improve that a little bit, but sometimes it's at night, it's late. We've got international people, like I understand, and that's a lot of emails. The peak day this last week was June 5th, we had 350 emails in one day. So again, and we've only got a couple people on that, so that's partially my fault. Not, we're hiring people right now. And then over, this is the monthly. It was over 3,000 emails last month at DFO. On the DWP side for Digital Wealth Partners, had about a third of that for the total month. And then, but just last week, we had, well, are you going to load here? Download. Oh, there it is. We had about 1,000 emails just last week at Digital Wealth Partners. Response time there is better. Response time in Digital Wealth Partners is under 3 hours. So, and most things are resolved within 5 hours. So, we're on top of these analytics. It's something that I want for my team every single Monday. Trying to make data-driven decisions so that we can make sure that we're hiring. We're bringing on a few EAs over there on the digital family office side to be able to augment our ability to respond faster. But again, please give us some grace in the short term here. Should get back to you within 24 hours. Mikey, he says, thank you for all that you do, enjoying the videos. What if I combine my XRP with 3 other people to meet the 50K? We do not do syndicated deals. That's not something that we want to be involved with. It becomes very sticky legally if we do it that way. And if it's a family limited partnership, so I don't know if these people are friends or how you're going to do it, but you could do a family limited partnership and we would work with you on that. So if these are brothers and sisters or your parents and you want to create a family limited partnership, we would take that on, but that is the only circumstance for partnerships. Wayne says, do you think Tether will follow through with meeting the requirements? Nope, sure don't. I don't think they can because the Bitcoin that they have on their balance sheet is locked up in a lawsuit with Celsius. This person says, gaming, Silent Strike Gaming. Appreciate you on the super chat, man. We're still, I guess we're going to hang out for the full 2 hours tonight so I can make it through all these super chats. We got Casey said, I want to sign up last week for the LLC, 50K, complete. Can I move forward to start with DWP? You sure can. Yeah, if you've already got the LLC in process, just go ahead and go to digitalwealthpartners.net and pay the onboarding fee. Go fill out the contact us form and you'll be able to move forward there, Casey. And thank you for the super chat. And we look forward to working with you, man. Trying to get down to the bottom here. You guys are awesome with the super chats. We got Birdbrain Investments. They say, hey, Jake, it's a real pleasure chatting with you and the other Mastermind members at Las Vegas. My wife made the cups. There you go. So this gentleman right here made this, his wife. I need to get you guys like a Stripe link. If you'll ping me on Discord, brother, I would love to get the Stripe link for this so that people can buy these. A couple $100 probably on these. Like this is a lot of time and effort to get this done the right way. And it's super cool. Like the texture on this is fantastic. How it looks is epic, dude. Like kudos to your wife for actually putting this together. And again, I'll show you, the next time I'm on here, I'll show you guys the Ripple one. Banger, dude. Like this is super awesome. So Birdbrain Investments is the channel here, guys. If you want to reach out to him to get one of these, again, probably a couple $100 for one of these, but well worth it. Like you're not going to get this anywhere else. I guarantee it. So again, if you'll get me links, man, I would love to promote this. I think it's very cool, and happy to help you guys and your wife out. Kind of showcase what y'all are doing for the community. I bought some socks too the other day, and just random. I ordered some socks off Amazon. Like I feel like I need to match better. Anyway, I caught hell from a bunch of people at the event because I wore H-bar socks, and so I was like, all right, I guess I need some Ripple socks. And so I found Cryptos over there on Twitter, and he makes socks, crypto socks. And so I ended up buying some socks from him. Anyway, other cool people in the community doing cool stuff. if it's cool, and I think it's cool, I'm happy to share it with other people. I'm not an affiliate for either one of these people. I just think they have cool products and stuff. And so if there's some way I can help other people, I'd love to do it. Rob says, what's the timeline do you see playing out for approval for the Genius Act and the first ETF? I believe you're thinking that once they approve one, they approve them all. You're right, Rob. I think here in June. I'm pretty confident here in June. They could kick the can. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm, hedging a little bit, but I think it'll be here in June. When does XRP kick off? What's price range for 2025? Here in June, and I think it could be 4 digits by the end of the year. Again, predicated on a bunch of events transpiring, but that's my thesis. Man, so many super chats. Thank you, Cameron. Appreciate you. Katrina. She says, hi, Jake. When do you think the services you offer will be available to those with 10 to 40,000 XRP, and they are offered in Australia? They are offered in Australia. We'll work with many Aussies already with their self-managed super funds and also the trust they've set up there, family trusts. They're in Australia. I'd go ahead and get your assets into a trust if you got that much. And it'll be after price appreciation. So when XRP is 50 or $100, we would love to work with you. And again, we want to make sure that we're offering these services to the right people. I don't ever want to take advantage of anybody or charge you fees or a bunch of stuff when you could be buying more crypto. And if you have that amount, your money's better spent continuing to dollar cost average. Once you get over 6 digits in crypto, now it becomes pretty substantial. Over $250,000 is probably when you want to start looking at institutional custody. And right now that's 100,000 XRP. So that's kind of why we're at where we're at. This person says, confused. Can I do dig family with 50K value, get the LLC package, or do I need 50K XRP? Only $50,000 to $60,000 worth of value. You can set up the LLC. So again, just go to digitalfamilyoffice.io, services section, in the drop down, LLC formation, and use the code 50OFF50 OFFDAG LLC. Get you everything that you need for a company there in Wyoming to manage your digital assets. And if you have $50,000 to $60,000 worth of value invested, or current value of your digital assets, that is when you probably should start looking at an LLC. It is 50,000 XRP, or I don't know what does that end up being, 120, 130. Well, it'll be $160,000 right now worth of XRP to work with Digital Wealth Partners. So we normally have a $500,000 threshold there in total portfolio value. So we're bringing it way down to 50,000 XRP to work with people and make sure that you have the opportunity to secure your assets and get all the benefits of institutional custody and a wealth manager and all the other stuff before prices really, take off here. And then we've got Thomas. They say, thank you for all the free info you give on your channel. I'm wondering what you recommend for non-entrepreneurial minded people on the other side of price appreciation. Mailbox money, bro. Yeah, you'll be in a position to just hold your assets in institutional custody if you're working with us, and you'll get a paycheck. You just sit it there, segmented, segregated, insured, bankruptcy remote, in your own account, printing you money. And you won't have to worry about it. That's what some people want. Some people just want to retire. They want to be able to travel. They want to be able to spend time with their family. They only need somewhere between $100,000 and $500,000 a year to live on. And I think many people will be able to accomplish that with their investment in XRP in particular. And again, not financial advice, just a guy on the internet. I'm probably crazy. Hey, Jake, based in New Zealand, how do I avoid the tax implications here on XRP if I want to hold it long term? Get it into the Cook Islands. If you get it over the Cook Islands, Crypto Kiwi, you're going to be better off. We have a team there in New Zealand that we work with that'll establish stuff in the Cook Islands for you. Trezor5 thoughts still be like you when I grow up. Wife still thinks I'm nuts. Future DWP. Awesome, Nick. Glad to hear that, man. I think Trezor's fine. I haven't heard anything bad about Trezor. If you like that one. All right, I'm going to answer like 5 or 6 more, and then we're going to wrap it up tonight. We got Team Powerhouse Real Estate says, Jake, thank you for truly caring. Thank you, man. I really do. I want people to be successful on the other side of this. I don't want people to be lottery winners and go bankrupt, and like anything that I can do to make sure that that doesn't happen to the majority of the XRP family. That's what I'm here for. Growth fund versus the income fund, which pays more? Do both pay cash or XRP? The income fund pays cash. The growth fund pays XRP. And they should produce about the same, is kind of my expectation. Growth fund could be substantially more. Just depends on price appreciation for XRP. If we get a big move to the upside, you'll have a big move in returns on the growth fund. The income fund should be pretty steady. That's the whole point. My Mr. Left J says, I want to set up an LLC. Believe you have a package for $4,000. What does that get me? Yeah. So again, if you want to use the code 50 off 50OFFDAG LLC, you get everything for $2,000. There at digitalfamilyoffice.io for your LLC. So that gets you EIN, articles of organization, registered agent, certificate of good standing, virtual office, the template for the operating agreement to move your assets into the LLC, the step-by-step process on how to move the assets into the LLC, and a meeting with somebody to be able to get that done, show you exactly what you need to do, and advise you on it. So, and you get the corporate veil maintenance also. So again, like if you went to an attorney, this can be $4 or $5 all day long. We're going to give it to you for $2,000. Again, if you use the code 50OFFDAG LLC, get you everything that I just mentioned end to end for your holding corporation to manage your digital assets there in Wyoming. Alan says, sorry about that. I wasn't sure if you were previously going through. Thanks for taking the time. Thank you for all the super chats, man. You didn't have to super chat again. Thank you so much. We've got Adam. He says, hope you're having a good night. I always have a good night when I'm on here. Like I said, I get a lot of fulfillment from the good questions that you guys ask and being able to provide value. Thoughts on Binance suspending XRP withdrawals and other exchanges doing the same thing. I'm telling you guys, get your stuff off of exchanges, hold it in institutional custody or in a cold wallet. There's going to come a time where you're not able to. Adam's telling you right now. I don't think you have a whole lot of time. Just being honest. Be proactive, please. Bowdog says, I have a Ledger wallet with coins. I've been sitting there for a while now. I haven't opened Ledger since I moved my coins there. Is it possible that I don't have them anymore in the wallet? I'd plug it in and check it, man. I would go check it. Don't update the firmware until you're ready to move it if it's on a Ledger. We got the Nugget Hunter book. So my wife does IRA with iTrust, XRP and XLM. She can't earn yield on anything. Nope. Not there. You can't. We can. Next 30 days, we're going to have a way to do it. Did this change, or did you just think it was going to work? They don't have a way to do it. They're not going to be able to generate returns inside of an IRA. We are at Digital Wealth Partners. So if you want to come work with us, if you have more than 50,000 XRP, we would love to have you. If you want to move over an IRA, it's free. We do not charge anybody to move over their IRA. If we have to set up an account for the LLC, there's some other stuff that we have to do that costs us money. But on that side, like, it's free. So if you want to move your IRA over from iTrust or Bitcoin IRA or Novo Trust or wherever you got it, we would love to work with you on it. And again, in the next 30 to 60 days, we'll be able to generate returns inside that IRA and compound your investments. Tax-free and tax-deferred, depending on which vehicle you have. Shell says, also, who was the lawyer you had contacts with in Australia? You mentioned about 12 months ago. John Basilos is who we were working with over there. If you want to reach out to info at digitalfamilyoffice.io, happy to share that information with you. Katrina again, she says, can I set up an LLC now, even if I don't have 50,000 XRP? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we will set one up for anybody. I say like $50,000 to $80,000 worth of XRP is a time when you should start thinking about it. Before that, just keep buying XRP. Like, again, I'm not trying to make a ton of money off people. I just want to give you the resources and the tools available and kind of give you time frames on when stuff makes sense. If you have less than, let's call it 20,000 XRP, you probably just keep buying XRP. If you got more than 20,000 XRP, probably a good time to start setting up LLCs. We got Bowdog again. He says, actually, we already went through that. Liners says, smash the like button. I always forget to tell people, please like, subscribe, share if you get value from this. A couple more super chats, then we're going to wrap it up tonight. We got 30 going on 60. What should I be looking for in a CPA for onboarding? Still waiting for the recommended list. If you emailed us, I apologize if we hadn't got back to you, but I would look at. Oh, my wife's telling me to wrap it up. Just email us, info@digitalfamilyoffice.io, and we will get it back to you, I promise. Man, you guys with the awesome super chats. Mike, what's up, Big Mike? Appreciate you, man. He says, damn, Jake, XRP Las Vegas was sick. Your dedication to the peeps was amazing. I'd escaped from Europe, had to escape from Europe with the wifey, buy a villa, grow a farm, get some damn chickens, cows, sheep, and goats, buy the winery, event center, haha, Mike Calhoun. Thanks, man. Y'all don't know Mike, but he runs a board of advisors, which is the best mastermind that I've ever been a part of. If you are a high-level business owner, it's not cheap to be part of Mike's community, but I can tell you it is well worth it. And the access to the professionals that he has there are second to none. He curates that group. Very blessed and grateful to be a part of the community there with him. So if you want to go check that out, you can go to boardofadvisors.com. Again, not cheap to be a part of it, but it is well worth it. You will meet the right people. You'll be able to grow. The personal development and the business development that you'll get for participating in that group, second to none, world class. So keep doing what you're doing, Mike. Thank you for the super chat, and excited to be a part of that group. We got Kane Corso. What's up, man? He says, hey, Jake, you told me to ask here. So here we go. What/who determines the burn rate for XRP or any token for that matter? That's a good question. So the burn rate is determined by the validators on the protocol. Right now, the burn rate is 0.0000212 XRP, like 4 or 5 zeros and then 12 XRP per transaction. So they would have to vote across the validators to change the burn rate, which they could absolutely do. And then the protocol would have a new fee associated with it. And that's how it works for pretty much any network also, is there's going to be validators and a governance protocol for people that are running nodes on the network that then vote to pass things. And depending on what they vote on, that's what gets passed. Most of the time, it's a 51% consensus. On the XRPL, it's actually 80% of the validators plus one is what's required to pass an amendment. And that's has to be held there for 2 weeks, and then it'll be passed. So that's the only way that the burn rate would change there on the XRPL is if it was voted in by the UNL validators. Healthy Tech says, hey, Jake, thoughts on Bitcoin being used as a smokescreen for the real money? XRP Utility token sold my BTC for XRP. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, Healthy Tech. You know what's going on. We got David Wilson. Question: will my irrevocable foreign GRAT trust work? Yeah, we can work with that, David. Happy to work with you if your assets are held in that. Jody Knowles says, any benefit to having multiple LLCs? How is Mr. Claver tonight? Behind every good man, there's a good woman. She was literally just behind me a minute ago. You could definitely have multiple LLCs. You want to segment risk. That's the whole benefit of a limited liability corporation or an LLC here in the U.S. You could elect to have, be taxed as an S corp, get passed through taxation, which is a huge benefit with the limited liability that you would normally get from like a C corp or one of those. S corp, obviously you get both too, but an LLC is good. So you can also have other companies that own your LLC, whereas an S corp has to be individually owned. I'm doing well, and just you want to be able to segment liability depending on what you want to do. Sometimes it's fine to aggregate assets inside the same one, but if you are doing real estate, I'd segment that out. If you're doing an M&A transaction, I'd segment that out. If you have a business that has any type of liability associated with it, consulting, I'd segment that out. You just want to separate liability. J-Dog says, just because, much appreciated, frustrating, thought I needed to be smarter. You're good, man. You're here, and you're taking action and kicking ass. There's Mike. Let me get down to the bottom here. All right. I think that's it. I think we made it through all the super chats. Just want to say thank you guys for hanging out and taking the time this evening to hang out with me. Again, if you want to take advantage of the promotion that we have for 50,000 XRP that we can work with, they're digital wealth partners, get access to institutional custody and all the products and services that we're providing. You're going to need an LLC set up for your digital assets. So here's the code. I know I've said it a bunch of times tonight, but sometimes it's easier if you just read it. You're going to go to digitalfamilyoffice.io/services/LLC entity formation, or you can just go to the website and click on services. And then once you get to that page, you use the code 50OFF50 OFFDAG get you everything all in, $2,000 out the door that you're going to need to be able to manage your digital assets on the other side of price appreciation. And then if you want to work with digital wealth partners, you need to get it locked in before the end of this week if you have 50,000. So go over there, go to digitalwealthpartners.net, go to the contact us form, and then fill that out. And it's $1,000 to onboard there, and you're good to go to work with the team. And then this person's asked, why do I require an LLC? It's a good question. Anchorage does not work with individuals. They won't work with you as an individual. You have to have a corporation. You have to be an institution or an enterprise. You are setting yourself up as an institution or an enterprise by setting up an LLC to manage your assets. If there is a confiscation of your assets, they will take them from individuals. They will not take them from companies. There's on and on and on reasons to set up an LLC or a corporation to manage your assets. But the main one for us is, again, Anchorage, our custodian, will not work with individuals and requires us to work with corporations that manage assets. And that's why we work with people to do that. And again, last call here, we'll see. I think price appreciation is right around the corner. With the domino theory and everything that I've already laid out, maybe it gets kicked. I don't know. But if it doesn't, and we see a $10 XRP, we are going to lock down the mastermind. So if you want to participate in that, if you want to be a part of that community, here's the code. It is Beyond Broke, all capitalized, the number 1, and then MO. Get you a free month there in the group, both social and Carbon One. Get access to loans if you're in Carbon One. Get access to private investments if you're in Carbon One. All the stuff, financial education, business resources, and so much more, in real life events. Anyway, we'll continue to do those. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, a wonderful evening. Thank you for taking time out of your Monday to hang out with me here late and run it down in the chat, asking great questions. This person says you missed my super chat. I'm sorry, man. Email me. Email me at info@digitalfamilyoffice.io and tell them this is for Jake. He missed my super chat, and I will answer you via email. Because again, I hate when people pay money and I don't get to them. Like Jay Wang here, he's also paid $10 for the super chat, and I do appreciate you. So I apologize for missing that, but I do have to wrap it up. So with that, I'm going to go. I hope you have a wonderful evening. We will be back Wednesday night with another one here if you want to hang out again and ask good questions and get more value. And one last thing, if you haven't liked, subscribe, please do that. And we'll see you guys on the next one.